10 amazing facts you may not know about Afghanistan. For a decade and more, one country has dominated the news headlines more than most: Afghanistan. Mention this country, and what comes to mind? Probably Taliban or terrorism, but Afghanistan is much more. Beyond the headlines of war, there is another country where ancient traditions endure and a new country is emerging. Afghans celebrate their new year, Nowruz, on 21st March, the first day of spring. Thousands travel to the northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif to welcome in Nowruz, a pre-Islamic festival. Local strongmen raised a great janda, or an Islamic banner, as they call it, to herald the beginning of spring and the start of the new year. If it is lifted in one smooth motion, it is seen as a good omen for the month to come. Afghanistan would like its national game buzkashi, or goat grabbing, to be an Olympic sport. Regarded as the world's wildest game, it involves riders on horseback competing to grab a goat carcass and gallop clear of the others to drop it in a talked circle. It has been played on Afghanistan's northern steppe for centuries. The game used to be the sport of rich rival warlords, but is now also financed by Afghan mobile phone companies and private airlines. But it is still not a sport for the faint-hearted, and women should not apply. Mobile phone coverage is believed to reach 90% of the country, even though the percentage of Afghans with access to electricity is still one of the lowest in the world. Mobile phones are transforming Afghan lives and culture. Even Taliban members have fancy smartphones with email and Skype. They are state symbols too. If you have cash or contacts, you can get a memorable number, including, for example, one that has the letters of your name. Poetry is an integral part of Afghan culture. Afghans have told their stories in verse for more than 1,000 years. Thursday night is Poetry Night in the western city of Herat. Men, women, and children gather to share ancient and modern verse, listen to traditional Herati music, and enjoy sweet tea and pastries long into the night. Alexander the Great was the first to build Herat's ancient citadel when he captured the city in 330 BC. The only woman to capture the heart of the Macedonian empire builder was the beautiful Roxanne from the northern Afghan province of Balkh. She bore him his only son before Alexander died at the young age of 33. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the poster boy for legions of young Afghan men. Photographs of a muscled Arnold in his prime hang from the walls of hundreds of bodybuilding centers across the country. Some Afghans say the action star turned United States governor looks like an Afghan. Afghan cuisine is more sophisticated than kebabs and rice. This landlocked country has been at the crossroads of major civilizations for centuries, and that is reflected in what is on the menu. Sample its delicate ashak, a ravioli stuffed with leeks and topped with minced meat and yogurt, or mantu pasta filled with lamb and onions. And of course, new influences are still emerging as Afghanistan opens its doors to the world. If you yearn for something lighter, former Japanese journalist turned chef Harami fell in love with the country, married an Afghan, and is training Afghans to make mouth-watering sushi. Now she is known as Mursal, which means rose in Persian. Kandahar airfield in southern Afghanistan is said to be the busiest single runway airstrip in the world. No wonder it is also the place NATO has its first complete air traffic capability in a non-NATO country. The arrival of more than 30,000 extra US troops, along with more civilian personnel, added to the constant landings on a base also used by non-US militaries. Of course, lots of journalists and dignitaries also fly into one of Afghanistan's most volatile cities, the most decisive battle in this war. Afghans have long said, whoever controls Kandahar controls Afghanistan. The world's first oil paintings were drawn not in Renaissance Europe, but in the caves of Bamiyan. in the central highlands of Afghanistan around 650 BC. Bamiyan boasted a flourishing Buddhist civilization from the 2nd century up to the Islamic conquest of the 9th century. This is where the world's 2 largest standing Buddhas once stood, until the Taliban destroyed them in 2001. A newly opened tourism company is trying to attract tourists back to beautiful Bamiyan, and the people of Bamiyan remain hopeful. A common misconception is that the people are not called Afghanis. The people are called Afghans, while the currency of Afghanistan is called Afghanis, and they have a country that for all of its hardship, they are still proud to call home.